Yes, yes. Welcome to the ancient world of tabletop games. I am Agamemnon from the historical documentary Time Bandits. This is a report from a fugitive. This video isn't about creating a board gaming channel. For one thing, there's role-playing material on here as well as the board game stuff. So what is this video about if I'm not covering the basics of setting up a video channel? It's about recreating a board gaming channel with every single video released. If you want to make videos on board games on any topic, make them. Then make more of them. My plan is to put this video out by the last Wednesday in January 2019. The channel's first video went out on the last day of July 2018. Across that time frame, I've tried to make one video per week. It never works out like that, of course, but I managed to publish a video almost every week. These videos are around 10 minutes long. Occasionally, I'll take a bump to the head and run a video longer than that. What effort is required to make weekly videos? Monumental effort? Titanic skill? Hollywood-level production values? No. The effort summoned is the effort in persistence. Your channel, with its own particular or peculiar style, depends entirely on persistence. Rabbit pie recipe? It's an old one. First, catch your rabbit. Start with story. What do I want to talk about? Next, I'll research things. I script almost every video in advance. It's easier. As I write, I visualize the camera setup I'll employ. Once the script is done, I'll weed out any obvious game-related blunders. Most of those are eliminated during the research phase. If a blunder lingers, I'll kill it with fire in sound editing. Blunders? Well, that's not a game for 2 to 4 players, it's for up to 4, with solo rules, 1 to 4 players, and a 5th player expansion. This game is one of 4 in the world not designed by Reiner Knizia. Monopoly is only a dexterity-based game if you throw the pieces around and flip the board. In other words, Monopoly is always a dexterity-based game. And that is a board gaming fact. It's also a board gaming fact that my board gaming facts are patently untrue. Or is that true? I might sneak a real one in just to see if anyone's awake. Story, research, script. Then, without switching a single camera on, I record the audio. I see the video in my mind and I cough, splutter and sneeze my way around the microphone. How long does this take? Finding the story is the work of a moment. Research eats into an hour to research, write a bit more, write a bit more. My video on the Game Master's screen was just shy of half an hour long, so the writing of it took much longer than usual, as did the research. I turned to arcane game screens provided by the usual suspects, and I even spent time in the loft checking for lost and forgotten games donated down the centuries. I do what I can to record the audio in one session. There's a pause function. I'll use it if I'm interrupted by a delivery driver, earthquake, or rampant tribbles. Fluff a line, skip reading a few words of text, sneezes. I clear my throat and pick up where I left off. The Game Master's screen audio ran almost 35 minutes. Audio recording is one thing. Editing is the same thing in terms of duration, only more so. Much more so. As a rule of thumb, expect to spend twice the length of a recording in editing that recording. I cut just over 5 minutes from the Game Master's screen audio. There's always a bit of silence at the start and the finish of a session as I switch from the microphone recording screen to the script and back again. Leave space at both ends for trimming. Then it's into the body of your recording, staring at the pattern in the editing software, lines rising, falling, noting the little earthquakes in your speech. You remember the sneeze, the display flat lines as you break off speaking. Then there's a seismic readout of your first sneeze. The aftershock is there as a lesser peak with the second sneeze. Flat line silence. Sharp mountains in sound follow on the readout after that, not speech though. If I fluff a line, I click my fingers a few times to generate noticeable If I fluff a fucking line, I click my fingers a few times to generate noticeable peaks on the editing display later. Makes it easier to cut the mistakes away if I clearly see what I picked up again after an error, especially if I'm caught up in the recording and don't take a lengthy pause after a fluffed line. So I burn through a little over half an hour recording. Then it's play audio, pause, highlight a few seconds, cut, play audio. I roast an hour away easily. Finally, I save the edited audio file into the folder where all the video material goes. That particular video, its audio track, the edited audio track, 2 files from the audio software saving the project in a different format, the script file. Gradually the film clips drop in one by one. The last thing to go there is the finished video itself, miscellaneous files, a few crumbs of chocolate. With the audio more or less out of the way, I turn to filming. Half an hour of material, something I conjure out of nothing, takes at least an hour. I line games up and props like aircraft waiting to land. Cameras hooked up. The second monitor next to the table is ready. I have the first few props on the table with a sequence in mind. Already I've been back and forth, lifting game boxes from shelves in other rooms. For a detailed video, I'll arrange half of what I need, do the filming, take a break, and clear the studio. Ready for the next batch of games to fly in. There are camera difficulties, software glitches, cable problems, camera slider gremlins. With the studio lights on, I bake like cakes. Film a scene, run a second camera pass, move on to the next snippet. I don't apply one long continuous camera run. When recording audio, I want the whole thing done in one go, but with filming, I may have to switch from an overhead camera on the main slider to the second unit down nearer the table's surface. Record, move stuff, save file, record a second clip. It doesn't end with the final scene. I'll miscalculate the footage I've filmed and find when assembling the rough cut that I have large gaps to fill. A minute here or a vital 10 seconds there. Believe me, a minute is a long time to fill if you have nothing but blank space. I reach for a checklist, notes scribbled on paper. Did I film that game board, those playing pieces, this deck of cards, and I haven't filmed the dice? Can I use stock footage for this? No, I have to film specialized dice that I just bought in. Damn it! Back to the table for more filming. Film more footage than you need. If you underfilm, that's far more annoying than filming too much stuff. When you make a mistake, reset and keep filming. I like to wave a gloved hand in front of the camera to show that I'm scrapping what I just filmed and everything after the wave is usable footage. I hope. Then there's film editing. If I use an hour to grab 10 minutes of film, it's a safe bet that I'll use another hour to edit that 20 to 30 minutes of footage down to the final 10-minute duration. It's important to match an action on camera to a point I've made on the separate audio track, and that attention to detail is fiddly and time-consuming when the various moving parts don't quite mesh immediately. You find yourself fixing things that didn't need fixed. In one video, I shuffled cards to make a point about randomness, and I did this in gloves. That's a set of skills right there, and I did what I could to present the point using cards that mostly played ball. I didn't expect the camera to screw up. Watching the scene back, I saw that the camera stuttered during a smooth move, making the scene look as though it had been cut in the edit. I'd had enough of filming cards. Could I salvage the scene with the footage available? The answer was to introduce a cut right in the middle of the scene that was an actual cut, to cover the glitchy cut. I never thought I'd have to do something like that in the editing. The video about Game Master's screens is one I mentioned here for reasons of the plot. I put a lot of effort into recording the audio in 1.5-hour session. A few fluffed lines and sneezes had to go. I was amazed that I managed to crawl through half an hour's material in 35 minutes. Then, editing the piece, I discovered a repeated audio glitch. Thumps and bumps. Perhaps the microphone wasn't sitting flat and occasionally a spot of vibration crept in. What to do? I edited the worst of these sounds out. Too many were left in. No way to fix those without getting really technical. Too fancy for me. Option: scrap the audio and record it all again, paying more attention to the microphone placement and other possible background distractions or just put the damned thing out there. There are wicked comments I've said away over in the writing world that I still stick to, even with the hindsight of hindsight. Here's some advice for content creators of all kinds. You may find this statement shocking. Alternatively, you may find yourself in agreement with me, and you may find that shocking. You mustn't care what people think of your work. The quality of your work is irrelevant. If you stop to think about the audience and what the audience thinks, you are stopping too long. Get on with content creation instead. As for the quality, particularly the quality of your writing, that is irrelevant. Once you are beyond the basic level of quality required in writing, you know your way around the island of a sentence, and you can navigate the deeper waters of the paragraph. Once you are beyond the basic level of quality, everything else is merely opinion. Get on with it. I was tired long ago of seeing writers struggle for perfection. It's unattainable. Publish and be damned. For published with flaws beats unfinished seeking perfection every single fucking time. On the matter of writing, I've often said this or variations on it. If you publish shit, at least you publish it. Write your story. Edit your story. Publish your story. For tomorrow ye may die. What are you scared of? People not liking your work? For people to hate your work, first they have to read your work. That's not true. People might hate your work without ever reading a word of it, but that's a different form of non-hate that we needn't trouble ourselves with here. Overcome fear. Don't care. I don't care if people like my work or if people don't like my work. This is a view that may upset some of you. The view has nothing to do with disrespecting readers. Get that out of your head right now. Caring generates fear. Don't care. Should I care what people think of my work? Am I dead to the world? Okay, yes, on a basic level, away from the sociopathic scale of things, we all care. There's a default setting that separates us from inanimate objects after all, and so on in more detail than I need regale you with here. Don't tangle yourselves in what others think of your output, or there'll be no output. And if you seek perfection, first dig 2 graves, the second one's for your writing. Content creators create content. Time to apply this to making board game videos. I'll do a video this week, and if the fates are kind to me, I'll publish that video this week as well. For every autofocus glitch that I couldn't edit out, for the camera glitches on camera movement, there'll be 3 autofocus glitches from static shots that I merrily zapped before publishing. I can't eliminate all the glitches or rough spots. With limited time, best to choose the fights I'll have on the way to the finish. Was my Game Master's screen audio track too bad to publish? No, it was okay. To scrap it meant scrapping the time invested in conjuring up more time, another half hour to record afresh, and an extra hour to edit. Trouble was, I'd quickly lined up a pile of film snippets. To record audio again meant the fearful prospect of cutting snippets from film snippets to match the new audio to the action already there on film. Too fiddly. I know, I should stick to record audio, then film, but it's a loose creative process. It doesn't do to fix your routine too tightly. You'll be unable to breathe. For the video on changing from older, harsher lighting to new, softer bulbs, I quickly filmed test footage comparing the 2 types of lighting. It wasn't my intention to use those in a video, but I did. The clips were rough and ready and not to the usual standard. Software correction reduces autofocus glitches, but makes the picture waver if it has to cope with changes in depth of field. Normally I run enough camera passes to overcome that, or I edit the wavering out. But I made the decision to go with the footage as filmed. It was part of a test process and felt more genuine for being left alone. Yes, the audio in one film was flawed, and the video shots in the other film were also a little off. However, I'm not here to film Lawrence of fucking Arabia every week. As long as the microphone isn't a potato and the camera isn't a toilet roll, I get by with that magical ingredient, persistence. The quality of your work is irrelevant, for much of the quality is the opinion of others. Don't cripple yourself by considering the chase for perfection. Get to it. How do you create a YouTube channel? Easy. You create, and you create again. I don't always make it every single week, but I make it more often than not, and consistency, persistence, just being there, is of utmost importance, not the type of microphone you use, or that model of camera you bought, and certainly not a foolish errand for a dose of perfection. The audience isn't looking over your shoulder while you are typing, recording, speech, or filming. Pay that audience no mind. Busy yourself instead with keeping busy. If you put a flawed video out there, improve on your output next time. Make sure there is a next time. Do what you can with what you have, in the time, at the place.